Dig.
Jeff,
Whoa.
tell me something. Why don't your horses ever jump the load? Do that little run action.
Very simple. Horse old mean he got snatches in him. When you snatch, it's very hard on the horse, very hard on your harness, your double treat, everything. And if they setting easy, they will they'll last a whole lot longer. And not only on years serviced, but in a day's time, you move a lot more logs because you ain't wasting the energy.
So, I got a team. When they notice a heavy load, they want to bump into it, and when they take off, they do that run. They jump the load. They do that run action. How I stop that?
You drive by setting them tight. Log wagon is the best thing to have them on a hill and learning them to hold. On a hill where the wagon's pulling back on them. And that way they're already set to pull. Their back legs are stretched out and they learn to pull without snatching. If a horse ain't never been on a slide or picked that habit up, that won't be a habit. A horse is not born with no bad habits. Man puts it there. And to get them out of that, you just gonna have to work with them and work with them with a light load.
So start with a load at both you and the horses are confident in, and then when you drive them, like how you work the lines. When you hook them up and they know they're hooked, and you ask them to come forward, how you work the lines.
I always drive with a tight line. And if a horse does jump, I'm gonna do my best to set him on his tail and punish him right there. Don't ever let that happen.
So let him kind of punish himself. When he comes up in that bit, let him kind of have that not so much where he's scared to come up in it, but enough where it causes him to have discomfort and he doesn't want to just go up in it so fast.
And then you do that over and over and over again, he'll stop that. And when I say this, yes, a horse that lunges at his load, and if he'll stay there, yes, he can pull more. But in a day's time of logging, you take a team that's setting solid, you'll do a third more because that horse is killing himself, punishing himself, doing the work.
Well, I remember when I first started working with you a long time ago, I said, well, I'm scared if I pull back, I smother them down from jumping the load, they'll quit on me. And he said, that's a lack of confidence in the driver.
And the horse. Yeah.
And the horse. And so a confident driver has confidence to keep a tight line, actually drive their team, not just turn them loose, but to drive their team is kind of how you start to build and then they kind of build confidence in you that you're driving and not driving themselves. But
well, I've said this once and I'll say it again. Horse can read you through them lines. He probably knows more about you than your wife knows about you just by holding them lines. He can feel your heart. And it's like a team. It's not just a pair of horses, it's three of you. And you all three work together. Now, in my experience, yes, there's some horses' personality will not work with my personality. But you gotta work together, and if you can make it easier on that animal, you make it easier on that animal. But don't let the animal think that he's gotta have it easy on him, because if he does, he's gonna take advantage.
right.
But I always hold my lines tight, and you can feel them. As long as you holding your lines tight and that horse is walking, it doesn't matter if you pulling him for everything he's got. As long as them lines are tight, you got gas in the tank.
So,
Pushing it.
so even when the load is really heavy on a really bad load, your horses still don't jump the load.
No, sir. No, sir.
So, but what about why isn't everybody else doing that?
Well, the pulling thing on a slide, and they're pulling or on a diameter, either way, they snatching the load and they letting them run. But that power is not being used. In the woods, it's being used. And a pair of sled horses, there's some out there that can do this, but there are very few, because all they know is snatch and run.
And so there's a difference between breaking that slide loose,
Yes.
getting it broke loose and running down, working on a flat manicure surface,
Yeah.
where versus working the woods where
Yes.
holes, dips, you don't know if you left some fiber holding or whatever. It's a different world. If you ask them to snatch and they can't, you're breaking their confidence real quickly, and you make it a lot more dangerous for yourself. Like
out here, if you snatch with a pair that's snatching and running, and I've actually had some men that had some of the horses doing that, it's very dangerous, very hard on the animal, very dangerous for you, because you need to stop them on cue. They need to stand there and be cool regardless of whatever. And a lot of times you have to thread a log through the eye of a needle. You can't do that with a horse running. A horse has got to settle down and walk and pay attention. If you go out here and you go to letting the horse run, and a lot of times, most time it's like confidence in you and the horses, but you won't make it. You're gonna get hurt.
Guys, probably one of the biggest things I started working with Jeff. He kept on fussing at me about making my horses get down and walk. And I'm like, well, this all I'm back chips, why isn't everybody else doing it? And the number one thing that impressed me, the reason why I gave it a go, because the way his horses would work. They would pull heavy and then do it repeatedly and stay mentally calm. And they would go further. When I took mine from jumping the load down to walking with it, how much further I could go without them breathing hard, how much more efficient that energy was used, was impressive. So just who influenced me in that, it's actually a really big deal. People have their reasons for pulling different ways. There's a lot of different techniques out there. It works different for different things, but for a workhorse, after experience what I experienced, I did not believe after experiencing what I've experienced, a workhorse, there is no other way. And you look at the really old films and the really old guys that are actually working their horses, they weren't snatch them. So it's just something to consider, guys. I'm not saying anything against anybody that does snatch. There's reasons for that. But here in the woods, and even on the farm or whatever, it's not the way to go. Anyway, I really do appreciate it, guys. Take care.